Colonel-Majora is back again with another segment.
And he's going to be talking to us about the use of technology in the Zelda series.
Take it away, Colonel.
Hello, listeners! Colonel-Majora here with another legendary reflection. This time around, I'm discussing a highly debated topic, Zelda with or without technology. I feel as though this topic has been argued with fewer points than others, but people have to get their facts straight before they move on, because if you want to make a good argument about whether or not to have technology in the games, you gotta hold up your end. So I'm gonna go over a few points that always seem to come up in the arguments, but should be smartly used in said arguments. And then I'm gonna go over a couple of technological things that I think should be used in the Zelda games, but that won't make it overly technological for the sake of keeping that style that we all know and love. So, first point. It's kind of a quick one, really, to get through the time placement of the series. With the official timeline out now, points of certain arguments can be made regarding the placement of certain games relative to others. But we all knew already that Skyward Sword was first. It was before any other Zelda game so far. With that in mind, the medieval style of Zelda should not restrict technological advancements. The technology used in the Lanayru Desert in that game is extremely advanced, but it appears to have been made, decades or probably centuries before the time placement of Skyward Sword. That is really old. That's before the timeline's first game. So technology has always been in the games, and its time placement should not really be relevant. And also there's the thing where it's like, oh, Zelda's a fantasy, so no tech allowed. Final Fantasy, anyone? Have you seen the machines in those games? But, I digress. Now the point that most people bring up first in this topic, one that's much bigger, the fact that technology could ultimately take away from the medieval feeling of the games, and like, oh, it doesn't suit the game whatsoever. Well, guess what, guys? There's already a ton of tech used in the world of Zelda. It's used for all kinds of purposes that are not unlike what are used in real life. A big use of tech is communications. There's not a lot here. There's like the rotary phones in Link's Awakening. I don't know how that works, but probably the biggest example in this whole segment is Wind Waker's Tingle Tuner. How do you have a medieval times created thing that has LCD screens, direct video and audio feed that's wireless across an ocean, and like it's basically FaceTime, but in medieval times? How does that work? But one really big one is transportation. Spirit Tracks use trains, which must have had gear systems, maybe use of coal or electricity, and I think that could lead to more advanced vehicles being used in the future games. Plus, there's not only the uses of rail systems for trains, but also just simple minecart tracks that have levers that change the direction from far away from the tracks. There's also flying things like hot air balloons. They must have some ability to like air up the Beetle's airship or airshop in Skyward Sword and Spirit Tracks. Floating platforms and ones on rails are definitely more advanced than our world's technology, and elevators are what they are. Finally, the SS Linebeck in Phantom Hourglass and various on-water warships and whatnot, they actually are pretty well advanced. They got cannons, salvaging grains, and they worked through engine rooms. Anyway, now for technology for public use, things that are like household items. Pictograph boxes. Very compact. Majora's Masks could only hold one black and white photo, but Wind Waker's could hold 3 colored ones. Granted, using a magic bug, but meh. Details. Oh, clocks. Clocks are cool. This is a good one because not only did the Terminians lay out their measurement of time with different speed, but the same hours as us, but they've also managed to construct a fully annually transforming clock tower and a ton of household clocks for everyone in the country. this is a big advance past Hyrule, I gotta say. And then there's music. There's been quite a few things used. There's the gramophone in Minish Cap, the jukebox in According to Time's Bombchu Bowling Alley, the Zora Hall instruments and amps and things in Majora's Mask, and a huge gramophone on the Icona house in Majora's Mask. Oh, and as a side note, this isn't actually a household piece of technology, but Majora's Mask's Great Bay Temple had huge giant pump systems all throughout the complex. Terminus seems to be significantly more technologically advanced than Hyrule as a whole. Now, I'm not going to talk about enemies that are technological because there's way too many throughout the series, so let's move on. As for normal items, there's the spinner, various versions of the hookshot, the beetle, and of course compasses. And then there's those ones that are sort of magic and technology, like the Dominion Rod, Twilight Princess's souls from the Twilight Realm, and Minish Cap's Gust Jar. But, yeah, that's all I could think of that's already been used. Well, there's a few other things, but time passes on, so let's move on. These are some of the things that I want to see in future games, like things that could be used. One idea is the popularly discussed use of steam-powered technology. It could be used in trains, maybe boats, low-tech robots, vehicles, stuff like that. This stuff has been used before, but with different kinds of technology, but I feel like steampunk stuff would work better with the style of Zelda, considering how it's easily recognized as a sort of primitive type of technology. Next is air travel. I want a plane or something. Maybe not a plane, but something like that. Something along those lines. I mean, propellers have been used on robots and things in Skyward Sword. And other things have been used that could be used for some sort of flying vehicle. Basically, not something like a hot air balloon or a magic bloody carpet, cough, cough, CDI, cough, cough. And, of course, not by bird. I don't have anything against Skyward Sword. It's just, I didn't really like that air travel type all that much. Anyway, my point is, it's not outside the possibility. Things like electricity, wind propulsion, and coal have been used to power and hold up huge machines and complexes, so why can't we go all out and fly with it? Now a more controversial one, guns. This is one that, it's very controversial, it's very highly debated, but it is more of a thing that I think shouldn't be used. There's the violence thing, but I remember Axel the Beast made a video once saying that medieval weaponry and stuff like that that's been used in Zelda is way more violent than guns, and I very much agree. That shouldn't be a reason why they shouldn't be implemented. And, neither should how modern they are, rather. Now, really old guns could be added, possibly, but come on. Even if it's a minor addition that doesn't replace the major weaponry, the bow and arrows still work in the same way, and I think they're cooler, so stick with those. I don't think that guns are hugely technologically advanced, at least not old-fashioned firearms, but guns don't fit the style. But anyway, that kind of wraps things up here. I know I didn't mention everything tech-related in the games, but if you'd like to mention something that I missed, something I was wrong about, something I should have improved on, or something you liked, or something you really, really hated about it, please send a cheeky little email to me at Colonel-Majora@gmail.com. But, as just a quick side note, my last segment involving the Wind Waker's sailing versus Skyward Sword's flying argument made some people think that I, hated Skyward Sword's flying completely, or didn't even like Skyward Sword, period. First of all, I agree with the point that a guy named Bradley brought up in an email to me, that Skyward Sword's flying seemed like it should be maybe a mini-game of some sort. It seemed just not necessary at all, while Wind Waker's sailing seemed like a really important game mechanic. But to TikTok, someone who emailed me about whether I hated this flying or not, no, I don't hate it, it's just, well, let me put it this way, the way a lot of people feel about Wind Waker sailing that's how I feel about the flying. It's just boring and time-consuming. I don't hate it, but I don't really like it all that much either. And that's all for now, so see you next time. I'll be back to rant again another day. So good day, good night, and good game.
I have an answer to the loft-wing flying being boring. Rocket packs, like Din said. Strap some rockets on that bird and boom, off you go.
TikTok got his name on the podcast twice this month.
Whoa. Anyways, thanks again for the submission.
I totally agree about the guns point. And we'll move on to our next segment. Thank you, Colonel.